Welcome back. Today we are going to be playing out the MD.452 2C. It's French and surprisingly enough, not absolutely terrible. The MD.452 actually has a pretty nice flight model. However, because the engine is kind of lacking, it does mean that you are going to be entering fights with probably an energy disadvantage. And if you do enter the fight at an advantage, you might find yourself running out of that energy pretty quickly. The retention of the airframe itself is however pretty decent, so you are kind of on the clock from the second the fight starts. If you do manage your energy quite decently and you don't overuse your flaps, which are usable at really high speeds, but again, you just want to kind of store that energy because you are on the clock. If you do use it right, if you do use it well, you will find yourself dogfighting a lot of enemies at the BR. MiG-15 Bisses. Planes like the ME-163s are of course completely out of the question, but something like an F-Sabre, if you know how to use this plane well, and even if the Sabre is a decent pilot, you might find yourself winning the dogfight. Now this is gonna come down mainly to the lines, the scenario where you two merge, and just overall way that you find yourself fighting each other. But in general, if you merge at like 9, maybe 800-ish, you can definitely get some work done, and it's not completely hopeless. Something like an F-86A5 that you will see a lot of, and I will make a video on pretty quickly as well here, is going to be a little bit different because they do turn better than you. However, you then have better retention and better energy generation, because the A5 of course also lacks a good engine. So it kind of just depends on what you are fighting. So with a plane like this, I advise you to have flown a lot of other planes at the BR, because if you don't know what you are fighting, you're probably gonna have a little bit of an issue. However, the plane is also really one-dimensional, because at the end of the day, you are going to try and dogfight people. And most of the things that you really can't dogfight, the things that will absolutely kick your shit in, you will probably outrun. At least most of the time. There are a few exceptions, like the MiG-15 Bis for example, but those are luckily not the planes that are completely filling up the enemy team. So let's look at what we are going to be doing here. We have some guy shooting at us that I didn't actually see. Dodged them absolute last second because I heard something, but it was more of a keyboard spam other than a coherent dodge. But we go into the dogfight, and because he's a little bit quicker, he's going to end up flying out in front of us. And you can see that I am using my flaps a little bit here, and that's to manage my position, because with something like the A5 that does turn better than you, I rather sit on at 6, where he has a little bit more energy than me, than sit in front of him, where I have a little bit more than him. Because the A5 Sabre at high speed, when you don't have a lot of speed yourself, is absolutely dreadful to get off your 6, as a lot of you guys should be aware of, considering the roll rate, the pull, as well as the 50 cals, of which it has way too many. Now these two A5s are running trains on me like I am their mother, and it's funny to see here because they both are kind of in the same position, but they both do something completely different. I do the same thing, however. I try to brake a little bit to get behind him. I shoot him down. And here you see the difference between Soviet Bear that engaged us at the top, where we just were, and Roxer that just got absolutely rocked in front of us. Soviet Bear noticed he had too much energy. He couldn't air brake me anymore. He had lost too much of that position. And instead of pulling horizontal in front of me or flying straight, he went into a loop. I couldn't follow the loop because he had a higher energy state, and the A5 was just in a superior position, and I couldn't touch him. Roxer over there, he started overshooting, and instead of doing anything, he flies straight for a little bit, then start pulling in a horizontal manner, but he also pulls into my guns. And this is why it's so important to manage your energy in a plane like the A5 Sabre. Because you can air brake, you can get rid of your speed, you can do a lot of things. However, what you can't do is accelerate again. So you want to manage your energy nicely. Soviet Bear did the right thing. He started looping me with the energy that he did have. And Roxer over there just decided to commit absolute sewer slide, as we call that, before we get demonetized. So, Soviet Bear is flying away from us, and I kind of want to dogfight him, so I'm just going to fly a little bit to his right, give him my ass, and see if he wants to take it again. This time, we are in more of an equal footing. I am at not too much of an energy disadvantage in terms of altitude, and I'm not going that much slower. So I want to start this fight sooner rather than later, because the longer I wait, the bigger his advantage becomes, because his top speed will be higher and he can store more energy if we are flying on the deck. So we merge. I know that I'm a little bit slower at this point because I waited for him to accelerate. I then had to do a 180, so I instantly have the position here, and now all I need to do is make sure that I stay on this guy's 6. And I do. He tries to use his energy. Doesn't really work out this time because I kind of planned for him to go up, because that's the thing that he did the first time. Kind of got baited there. And now we are gonna do the exact same thing to the F40 that is about to come in. However, I haven't fought this guy yet, so I have no idea what this guy is going to be like. But I do know that I'm on 1 minute of fuel, and he just took off. So I should have a bit of an advantage here, and I'm probably going to get away with doing whatever I am going to do. I'm going to put it into a little bit of a spiral, and I'm giving him position here because I know that he will not be able to actually shoot us down. So I go into the spiral, keep it somewhat horizontal, wait for him to run out of energy, and he's just sitting on my ass. He's bleeding speed as I kind of bait him away from the runway, get him as slow as possible, and then we just kind of turn in, we drop the flaps. And I mean, look at the turning difference with that sub-minute of fuel. I almost instantly get directly behind him. Now he needs to turn away from me. He doesn't. Not that it really matters, because he doesn't have the speed to get away from me, because I am just so light right now. So I would have just out-accelerated him. But it's a little bit risky for me, because of course I only have 20 seconds of fuel left. So if he does delay me a little bit, I'm going to be out of fuel, and I am going to be dead. Now here is going to be a bit more of a down tier, more of an average match, and we kind of just want to see who the hell we can go for. We have an F-84F, absolutely useless plane, and he's shooting at someone else, so I might as well take my liberty and just shit straight into his cockpit, and we do exactly that. F-84F is down, and we just go for someone else. We go look around who is free, who we can engage. The A4E behind us is an absolutely free kill, but I don't really want to deal with him right now. The A4E is actually really annoying the reverse, because it doesn't pull that well, it doesn't dogfight that well, but if it's on your 6, they always automatically air brake you, because it is a delta wing design, and that's going to cost me a lot of time and a lot of position and a lot of energy to get off my 6, which is something I don't want to deal with. So I just kind of fly away from him. I was much quicker than him anyway, and then we come back later to also shit in his cockpit, at least if the game allows me to do so. So we have the A4E there. He looks to be somewhat struggling. Mackerel did hit him, but it didn't seem like it was critical, or at least not critical in terms of he's about to die. So we go for him. We get a crit as well. Now he looks to be pretty dead, and I just kind of fly into the back and see who I can engage. Now I'm going to get a massive assist for that. Thank you very much, War Thunder. And we just go and look for the next guy. Who do we go for? F9F is Forever AI, and it's a very fitting name, because this bozo is flying like an absolute bot. Zero awareness, just complete neuron activation, go for the first red name you see, and kind of just pull for him. Now I wasn't gonna go and finish him off, because I had a feeling that he was gonna slam into me, and in me not going for the kill, I still almost flew into him. So that would have been a little bit ironic. But at least it's not as bad as that P8 that just absolutely body slammed me in the BV238 video that I did 2 days ago. And I still have to ask, how did y'all like the live commentary? I'm not the biggest fan of it, because I do have to throw away a lot, and I don't think I can put as much concise information in, because there are some things that I either talk about or don't talk about, and if I kind of forget about it in the fight, then I can't really add it after the fact. So let me know what you think of it. Maybe it's only for the meme planes, to just spice up the channel a little bit. But let me know what you think. I kind of found it funny, but it's also one of those planes that's kind of funny to fly. Whereas a plane like this, where it's a little bit more serious and I'm just kind of trying to sweat my balls off, it's maybe not as funny. So just let me know what you think, and we can see what we will do in the future. We are tailing Worrying Shark in his F-86K, and if you are wondering whether sharks are mammals or fish, you should ask Dreamtree15 in my Discord server, and he will probably give you a very coherent answer. Now what do we do now? Well, nothing really. The F-86K is going to outrun us, he's much quicker than us, and we can't really touch him. So let me just show you the next game instead. And here we are again for the last game of the day, and I see an ME-163. Now that's something I really don't want to deal with, but at the same time I rather deal with the ME-163 while it still has some fuel left. And this might sound very counterintuitive. However, 163s have very heavy fuel loads. Sure, it doesn't have much, it only has like 6.5 minutes. However, the fuel is extremely heavy, and if that thing just took off, and he has been flying into the map, going like 30% throttle, looking at his altitude, he was not going full speed. He probably has like 5.5 minutes of fuel left, maybe 5 minutes. And then he's actually so heavy that he becomes a lot easier to hit. So I'd rather take those things out as early as possible, because if those things survive throughout like the first 4, maybe 5 minutes of the match, and you get one of them on you, your game is over and you're not gonna be doing anything anymore. So I noticed that he didn't want to go head on with us, so I just sent the head on, hope that he was gonna pull into it. We luckily aim well enough, take him out for dinner, but he doesn't really appreciate getting fucked on the first date, so he kinda leaves me hanging and goes back to the hangar. But luckily there is plenty of fish in the sea. At least the fish, if you ask a normal human being. If you ask Dreamtree, he's gonna call them sharks, but don't listen to him, he is crazy in the head. Which of the sharks are we going for today, however? I'm also a bit crazy, if you haven't been able to tell. Crazy? I was crazy once. They put me in a room. A rubber room with rats. Rats make me crazy. Crazy? I was crazy once. But in reality, I'm just waiting to close the gap on this F9F. ARB does kind of make me crazy sometimes. Especially in planes that aren't particularly fast, so you kind of just find yourself running around throughout the game. So I'd rather just kind of talk about rats. Rats? Rats make me crazy. Crazy? I was crazy. Put me in a room. A rubber room. Hi, is the A5 Sabre. We can actually do something again. So we bait him into going vertical with us, because Mackerel is riding his ass. And while I don't want to ruin Mackerel's ass sniffing party, I do want to just get this guy out of the match. Because he chased Mackerel all the way to the map border, took like one shot and then just flew away from him. So now I get to have my own little ass sniffing party. So we get on him, and we let him sit on this massive L. But yeah, if you're gonna talk shit in chat, you better not fuck it up, because you are gonna look like an absolute tool. Probably not as much as a tool as I have been looking like this entire video, with my ass sniffing, my rats and my sharks are mammals, but I'm actually just losing it. I have no excuse. I made that BV238 video and I've absolutely fucking lost it. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching. I'm gonna dig this F2H out of the air, and then you will see me all again in a day or two.